And welcome back to Boss JCB. I'm Carl.
And I'm Ben.
And this is Tech Talk. This afternoon, we're going to talk about rear serviceability of the 3TS8T. We're going to talk about everything in the back here that you need to look at when you have your machine. So we're going to start over here on the left, and we're going to work our way around. So first and foremost, it comes over here, and the first thing you see kind of standing out over here is your coolant reservoir. So this coolant reservoir, got to be careful because it can be a little tricky, right? You've got a cold fill and a hot fill, right? When the machine is cold, don't run it all the way up to the hot fill mark, and then when it's hot, it's going to overflow on you, right? So that level is going to come up as the machine heats up. So make sure you address that accordingly and put the right amount in based on the engine temperature of the machine. As you move over towards the engine side, first I want to point out this maintenance schedule here. So all these machines have a maintenance schedule in here, and you'll see at the top right here, it talks about the 10, 50, and 500 hour services, 1,000 and 2,000 hour services, and it'll walk you around. It'll talk about what needs grease, what needs checked, what intervals it needs to be done at, and it's a good guide for you to go off of so you know exactly what you should and shouldn't be checking. All right, if you have any questions about that, every machine comes with an operator's manual. It goes into a little bit more detail in the operator's manual. Now, as we move over from there, the next thing I want to look at is air filtration. Engines have to breathe to work, right? Combustion doesn't happen without fresh air. So on this machine, you've got an inner and outer air filter. So they're mounted here. The intake for these comes down and it's in this battery box, kind of separates it from the rest of the engine, and you get your air intake off of this rear vent. So what you want to do is you want to pop those two retain clips off, tilt it towards you, and pop it out. Once you pop it out, you then have your outer air filter. This outer air filter is your primary protection method for material getting into that engine intake. So this is going to fill up. You're going to check this thing every 500 hours. You want to replace it. While you're replacing it, there's an inner air filter in here that if this is dirty, you may have a problem. That means something's getting past this outer air filter. So if this one's dirty, you need to replace it. If not, every 1,000 hours, we recommend you replace this. That's what they call for in the book as well. So to replace them is pretty simple. Pop it out, pops right back in. You'll feel it kind of slide into place. Same thing with the outer air filter. You just slide it back in, you put the caps on there. Now look, a lot of people are gonna wanna blow these filters out. We never recommend blowing out filters. You get that paper medium in there and you get high pressure air blowing in and out of there, and you could absolutely tear some of that material inside of this, and you're gonna get dirt flowing right past your filter. So I recommend replace it with an OEM replacement. Give us a call at Boss JCB. We'll be glad to take care of you. All right, so let's put that back in place. Once you put it into place, it's a little bit tricky getting this cover back on there. There's two little tabs here in the bottom. You've got to kind of set it in and then twist it up to get it to go in. At the same time, this little restrictor needs to fit inside of the orifice where it fits through. So you got to put that in place, get this in, slide them into place. Once they're there, you can clip it on.
It's important to have a tight fit. Inspect your housing, make sure you're not have any cracks or anything where you're going to ingest dirt into the system.
You're absolutely right.
Have a good tight fit. Yep.
Yep. And after you get it back on, there's a connection here. You're just going to want to make sure that's tight. It's always a good idea to just trace some of your air intake lines. Make sure there's nothing obvious, right? You don't see a tear or rip, loose connector, something somewhere. So that's our air filters. As we move down from the air filter, we get here, this is our battery box area. So you've got your primary fuses in here, and you've got your battery isolator switch. This is where you're going to turn off the machine at the battery, and you can take this out and it's removable. This is a good way to make sure nobody drives off with your machine on a job site. Also, while you're here, if your battery does die, you've got a jump point right here. All right, so that's your battery box area. Now from there, we're going to move over to the right of the machine. Next is our hydraulic tank. So this hydraulic tank can be a little tricky. So you got to make sure, one, you have to get the machine set up in the right position to measure your hydraulic fluid. First and foremost, have to make sure you're on flat, level ground. Second, you need to have the boom all the way retracted, all the way down in the closed position or lowered position, and the bucket flat on the ground. If you don't have one of those things, if you've got your boom up in the air, you've got it extended out, all of those are going to suck fluid out of the tank, and they're going to put them in the cylinder. So it's going to give you the wrong reading. Now, a lot of people come to me and say, hey, Carl, I got a brand new machine and I'm low on hydraulic fluid already. Well, they probably are, and it looks like they are, but this is a pressurized system. So with a pressurized system, they need to vent the tank before they check the level. When I say vent the tank, here on the top, you have a cap. This is also your fill point. You just loosen that up. And when you loosen it, air will escape and you're going to get, your hydraulic oil is going to raise up just a little bit. All right, so make sure you check that vent before you check your level. Now that you've vented it, you can check your level. The level should be between the low and the full mark. All right, so that's where we want it. If you ever need to change your hydraulic filter, you've got 2 hydraulic filters on this machine. So you've got your tank filter here. This is all the oil returning to tank, right? It's coming through the filter as it comes back. You just screw this off, slides right out, you slide a new one in, screw it right back on. Every 500 hours, we should be doing that, all right? We don't change the oil every 500, we wait till 1,000 for the oil, but the filter every 500 hours. Along with this filter, we have a charge filter. Charge filters, a little bit harder to get to. We got to raise the cab up and it's behind the cab on the front side, but you can get to that charge filter from that front side of the cab, all right? So moving over from there, we're gonna move over to our engine oil. Ben, did you have a rag on you?
I do have a rag.
So look, first thing when you go to check your engine oil, you're gonna wanna, if you've been running for your machine, let it sit for a few minutes. Let all the oil get back out of the head and drain down into your pan, because this dipstick is checking in your pan, all right? So again, we're on level ground. We're gonna pull the dipstick out. We're gonna clean it. We're gonna put it right back in, push it all the way in, make sure it's in place. Then we're gonna pull it out. Then we should be looking on this dipstick and it should be between the low and the full mark, all right? If you were running your machine and you check it right away, it may look like it's really high because that oil's still sitting on that dipstick. It hasn't had a chance to settle. So make sure you got to give it enough time to settle down before you check your oil level. If your oil is low, right here at the top of the engine, this is your filler cap. So you can fill your engine oil right here at the top of the engine. On this machine, you've also got this recovery valve. What this does is, for some unknown reason, your machine stops functioning and you've got your boom up in the air and you need to get your boom down. What this does is if you raise this up, it opens a port from your boom lift cylinder right back to tank, and it's gonna let your boom just slowly drop down to the ground. So now you're back into your normal maintenance position for this machine. All right? What's pretty neat about this machine is you can raise the cab up too with the boom down. All right, so that's a nice feature to have on this. As we move over, you've got here your fuel water separator. Some people call it a sedimenter, right? So what this is meant to do is you've got fuel coming directly from the tank through this filter before it goes to your primary filter. The primary filter is located on the right side of the engine down towards the bottom. In order to get to it, you actually have to access a panel on the bottom of the machine. So if you ever have to change it, that's the way you're gonna have to go. But this filter here, that's your pre-filter. So everything coming directly from your tank goes through this. The idea is we catch all that debris, condensation, moisture, water, and it collects in here. We need to be checking this, right? At least every 50 hours, you should look at it. If you think you've got something in there, it's got a sensor on it. If you get too much water in there, you're gonna get an indicator in the cab for water and fuel. Pop that off for a second, set it to the side. I recommend you get a cup. You just get a cup and you twist this and you open it up and it's gonna start to drain from the bottom. Water's heavier than diesel, so all that sediment and water is gonna sit at the bottom. You're gonna drain it out till you start to get that diesel out. You just tighten it back up. Put your sensor connector back on and you're good to go, all right? These also need to be changed every 500 hours along with your fuel filters. Now, when you change these, one of the things that I tell everybody, we're running Tier 4 final. Tier 4 final is a high pressure engine. You don't want to just put anything in there, right? You need clean fuel going in. So a lot of people pour old fuel into the new filter and screw it on there. We don't do that with the JCB. You don't need to, right? You've got an electric lift pump that sits right here on top of this filter. That electric lift pump will do all the work for you. All right, so when you key this machine on, it's going to run for about 23 seconds. Just let it run for 23 seconds. Turn it off, turn it back on for 23 seconds, and do it one more time. So 3 cycles at 23 seconds. You come back, all your filters will be primed and ready to go. So never pre-fill these filters. Just put them on dry, let that electric lift pump do the work for you. All right? And right below that fuel sedimenter, you've got your engine oil filter that sits right here on the side of the engine. Yes, I know it's upside down, but that's all right. We can get to it easy. We drain the oil, access panel on the bottom of the machine. There's a remote drain port down there. You just drain the oil out the bottom. Once we're drained, we replace our filter here. Easy to get to. Remember, when you tighten these things up, you don't have to torque those things down with every ounce of muscle you got, right? Just put them on there snug, give them another quarter turn once they're snug. That's all you need to do with them, right? They've got a nice rubber seal in there that's going to keep them in place. Don't overdo it with the filters. Makes it hard for everybody.
It's great information, Carl. All your JCB filters are at Boss JCB. All your lubricants are at Boss JCB, designed and engineered for these machines. Appreciate the information, Carl.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Boom, 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 boom.